Hi, it's Dwyer. July 3rd, 2023. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, it looks like Big Baby, just based on the responses to the earlier video. Jared Anderson has the public's interest. Right? By my standards, my boxing corner of the internet, smaller than most, but by my standards, seeing that more than 1,000 people viewed that video in less than a day, that's news for me. Right? So I get that people are interested in him. There are many who believe that he's a special fighter. Right? In the comment section of that video, I was surprised by some of the comments. What I want to do here is to just talk about three guys who were young heavyweight champions, what I perceive their edges to have been. Then I want to talk about matchmaking Big Baby here. Right now, look, just understand, there are many opinions here. I caught some of the people in the comment section who said, hey, Baby looked magnificent. Right? I'm not in that camp. I thought Baby got hit with some flush shots. I thought Baby looked like a young heavyweight who needs more fights to have an edge on the competition. Well, let's talk about three guys who got the belts at young ages. Ali. Just understand, Ali's legs were tremendous. Understand, Ali, at a time when heavyweights were flat-footed and sluggers, right? Think Sonny Liston. I understand you had some pretty boys out there. Eddie Machen comes to mind, who went the distance with Sonny. But when Ali comes along, really the dominant paradigm are sluggers. And here's Ali with a fight style that was different than everyone else's, right? He's on his toes. He's back foot. A lot of lateral movement, right? He's throwing a jab. Sonny Liston, quite frankly, looks lost in the ring with him, right? He's a young champion. Let's talk about a more recent one, Mike Tyson. Right? Understand, Tyson comes along during, we'll call it the Larry Holmes era. People are big. The heavyweights were tall guys. Right? Everyone operated behind a jab back then. Right? Guys moved back then. But here is Tyson. He's short. He's a major puncher. He's quick. And what I want people to remember is Tyson would move his upper body. Mike didn't just walk in. Mike would come in and he'd be moving side to side. He was hard to find. He got underneath guys like Larry Holmes. And the hand speed is cat quick. Right? By the time you realize Mike Tyson was throwing heavy shots, the other guy was badly hurt. Try to watch Tyson's hands in that Marvis Frazier fight. So understand, Tyson comes at a time where a lot of the fighters were slick and back foot. Right? Not just Larry Holmes, but Tony Tubbs, Pinklin Thomas. Right? And here's Mike Tyson walking down guys. Again, different style, different paradigm. Let's name a third guy who was a young champion. Floyd Patterson, right? Ironically, Cus D'Amato is involved in both Floyd's career and Mike Tyson's career. Look that up. Well, understand, Floyd Patterson had what was called at the time a peekaboo defense. And let's just say Floyd was defensively blessed. Now, I know it's hard to believe since Floyd gets dropped so many times by Ingemar Johansson. Okay, fine, right? Floyd had his rough fights. Floyd gets dropped by Sonny Liston, right? Twice, early. But Patterson was too slick. Patterson comes after the Rocky Marciano era, where Marciano's blood and guts, right? Marciano fights are shootouts. Guys are landing punches. Then along comes Floyd Patterson, and he's not blood and guts. He's in front of you. He's not that big, but you can't find him. Right? He's blocking shots, and he's quick. Now, to me, to be a young champion, you really need something unique like that. Ali's legs. Tyson's power and quickness. Right? Tyson, by the way, we don't give him enough credit. Tyson had foot speed. Right? Good luck staying away from Mike Tyson. He was going to come find you quickly. Right? Floyd Patterson, defense in the late 50s. Now, when I see Jared Anderson, and understand, I'm a fan. Right? I think he's a promising heavyweight. I see the talent. Right? But when I see him, I don't see the edge that those guys have. Jared Anderson looks to me to be another big guy, and he's not that big. He's not Joshua size. But he seems to me to be another big guy who wants to walk you down. Right? Maybe it was a styles make fights type thing, but I didn't see a lot of back foot from him against Charles Martin. Right? Now, I'm just telling you, and I'm going to name a Hall of Famer here. Guys who can fight inside. Let's say an Errol Spence. Excellent inside fighter. Right? Short-range hooker, as I like to call him. His fight against Ugas, oh, that's a beautiful fight. That's a masterpiece. Right? He is draped on Ugas. He smothers a counterpuncher. Right? Just to understand, if you're fighting Errol Spence, and Errol Spence knows that you're going to try to come inside on him, Errol Spence is going to be ready. What's the intrigue in the Errol Spence-Terence Crawford fight? It's the fact that we don't quite know what Crawford's going to do. As I've said here in the past, Crawford's like Bill Belichick. Right? You don't know what he's going to do. I doubt Crawford is going to try to meet Spence in the middle of the ring to duke it out on the inside with him. Right? Crawford, the knockout puncher, keeps you guessing. Changes strategy during the fight. Right now, Big Baby to me looks like a young heavyweight. Someone here in the comment section to the post-fight video talked about Makhmudov, who was on the undercard. And the person said, hey, I would take Makhmudov over Big Baby. Well, I would too. Because you saw in the Makhmudov fight, Makhmudov is in close with his opponent, and you see him thinking, didn't you? You saw him planning the uppercuts, didn't you? Right? You noticed his hands, and you noticed he made it such that he's on the inside, they're close together. And he knows he's going to suddenly pivot and hit you with the uppercut. Right now, just to understand, against Big Baby, and I'm just telling you how I'd bet the fight. Who knows who'd win the fight? I would expect Makhmudov, with less fanfare, to be the underdog in that fight. I would guess in camp, Makhmudov would assume that Big Baby is going to try to come close to him in the pocket. Baby has some wrinkles, right? He'll, pivot off to the side and stuff like that. Throw punches from odd angles. But you understand Big Baby is a front foot guy, don't you? Right? Well, I'm just telling you, I would expect Big Baby to have a problem with McMudoff. Let's go further. You just saw Big Baby against a southpaw, and Baby gets hit with some straight left hands, doesn't he? Right? You would have thought this was Lomachenko against Devin Haney. Well, understand, we're in a left-handed world right now in the heavyweight division. How would Baby deal with Usyk? I believe the answer is not well. Usyk's a southpaw. Usyk throws a very good straight left hand. Just talk to Tony Bellew about that. Right? And he's mobile. And he has a back foot. Right? Understand, if you want to see Usyk on his front foot, look at the Bellew fight. If you want to see Usyk on his back foot, look at portions of his fights against Anthony Joshua. By the way, if you want to see Usyk on his front foot, look at the 12th round of the first Joshua fight. And let's be clear here. Joshua's a bigger man than Big Baby. I would argue, based on what I just saw against Charles Martin, Joshua might be a bigger puncher than Big Baby. Right? Usyk handled him. Right? So Big Baby falls in that category of talented guy who they have to bring along. Right? You need to protect young heavyweights because the water is too deep. Right? Someone mentioned Joseph Parker in the comment section to the post-fight video. I'm just telling you that Joseph Parker, who beat Hughie Fury, would beat Big Baby. Right? Understand, Big Baby's an athlete. Joseph Parker today is one of the best athletes in the heavyweight division, in my eyes. Right? Understand Joseph Parker's back foot. I know it's a controversial fight. I'll agree it's a location fight. Had the fight been in the United States, Andy Ruiz likely wins that fight. But understand it's Joseph Parker who's on his back foot against Andy Ruiz. And Parker survives. Right? Parker is awarded the decision. At the time, Andy was unbeaten. I believe it's that fight that laid the groundwork for AJ's strategy of being on his back foot in the Ruiz rematch. What we would find if Joseph Parker fought Big Baby is that Parker has a back foot element to his game that Big Baby just doesn't have. And the athleticism would negate itself, right? Understand, Parker drops Dillian White, loses the fight because they counted a forearm knockdown as a knockdown. But Parker legitimately drops Dillian White late in the fight, and you could tell Parker still had his athleticism late in that fight. Let's talk about other fighters. Parker lost to Joe Joyce, right? Joe Joyce is front foot. Joe Joyce is big. His nickname is the Juggernaut. Right? You tell me what happens. What edge does Big Baby have in the pocket on Joe Joyce? Right, folks? I'm not sure if there is an edge. Isn't that just a slugfest? Right? Somebody tell me too. The problems Joe Joyce had with Zhili Zhang, why would Baby not have the same problems? Right? Understand, Zhili Zhang trusts his power. Right? He knows he's fought more righties than Big Baby has fought lefties. If it's a shootout, you have some heavyweights who say, hey, I like my power. I like my chances. Right? As I've said here before too, if you're going to fight a fight in the pocket, you're going to be in big trouble against a Luis Ortiz who's a southpaw, who's a master in the pocket. Or an Andy Ruiz who, let's face it, we just saw Big Baby, he has some hand speed. He doesn't have Andy Ruiz hand speed. Now, nothing I say in this video should suggest that Big Baby isn't on his way to a heavyweight title. But my point to you is simply, this is going to take time. It's unfair to him for us to compare him to Ali, heavyweight champion at 22 years old, right? Tyson, younger than that, right? It's unfair to compare Big Baby to those greats, right? He looks like he's still learning the game to me, right? This is a work in progress. His opponents are going to have to be carefully chosen, right? Over time, he'll build up the resume where he'll reach the point where he can then take on the greats. But understand, Anthony Joshua, Olympic gold medalist, right? He fought Vladimir Klitschko, certain Hall of Famer, multi-year heavyweight champion, right? At the time they fought, Klitschko, big-time puncher, right? Understand, AJ fought Joseph Parker when Parker was unbeaten, right? He fought Charles Martin, KO'd Martin early. I'll agree Martin had bad strategy in that fight, but the point is AJ showed up for it, KO'd him. AJ KO'd Dillian White early. When AJ hopped in the ring against Usyk, let's be diplomatic here. He wasn't ready for Usyk, was he? Right? Because Usyk, slick, moving southpaw, brought skills to the table that AJ didn't quite know how to adjust to. Right? Well, just understand, Usyk's still in the heavyweight division. Understand, too, sparring isn't real fights. I know Big Baby sparred with Tyson Fury, right? I'm guessing in that sparring session, Big Baby was on his front foot, right? The people around Big Baby, you were there at the sparring session. Let me know if I'm right on this, but Big Baby was on his front foot. Tyson Fury was likely covering up. You understand that being on your front foot and pinning Tyson Fury has proven to be very hard in several Fury fights. Look at Fury's fight against Vladimir Klitschko. Right? Klitschko couldn't find Fury in that fight because Fury has great legs. Right? And so all I'm saying is the heavyweight division is deep. I wouldn't want Baby close to Makhmudov at this stage. A guy in the pocket who is thinking about shots and who is splitting a defense, who's landing big shots, who is comfortable deep in the pocket. Isn't that where Baby wants to be? In the pre-fight for the Baby fight, they showed Baby doing some Roberto Duran tactics, right? They showed him against, I believe it was Jerry Forrest or someone like that. And the other guy had his hands up, and Baby came And Baby pulled down the hand, right? Baby knew how to pull down the guy's hand and then to come back with a right hand. And Timothy Bradley said, hey, this is something that smaller guys do. You usually don't see this in the heavyweight division. Right now, all I can say is, okay, great. That works when you're dealing with heavyweights who aren't prepared for it, who don't really know what to do on the inside. Makhmudov looks to me like he knows what to do on the inside. Right? I'm just saying. Right? In this heavyweight division, I mean, understand, you come inside like that on Luis Ortiz, guess what? Luis Ortiz's dominant left hand lines up with your right hand. Right? The angles are different. So Baby, I think Baby has a bright future. I think Baby's timeline is going to need adjustment. He wants to be out of the sport in 4 years. Right? I'm just saying, I don't think he's ready today for Usyk. I think a heavyweight title fight against Tyson Fury, I'm not sure if it would mirror their sparring session. Right? There are other guys out there with big punches. Right? I saw where Top Rank just signed Jalilov. Right? The 2001, because of COVID, they changed the year. The 2001 Olympic gold medalist. Right? Just to understand, he hit an American, Torres, who was out to the point where he had to be carried out of the ring. Right, folks, we're in a big, clunky heavyweight era right now. Big punchers. Deontay Wilder. Joshua, who has power with both hands. Right? And you just happen to have, and I know it sounds ridiculous, 2, not 1, but 2 historical heavyweight champions. Tyson Fury is bigger than most in history. And he's skilled. This is not Primo Carnera. This is one of the best heavyweights I've seen. I personally feel he has a problem against Usyk. Understand the Usyk resume. Olympic gold medalist. Undisputed at cruiser. Now he has more than one belt at heavy. He's still unbeaten. To say the water is deep at heavyweight is an understatement. I'm here online pubbing guys like Luis Ortiz, Zhili Zhang, Martin Bakole, right? And these guys aren't even queued up for title fights. That's how deep the heavyweight division is. So Big Baby might rise to the top. All I'm saying is it's going to take some time. Someone here mentioned Michael Hunter in the comment section to the post-fight video. You know, Michael Hunter is the kind of guy who kills you on movement. If Michael Hunter knows, and he's already been in the ring with Usyk, with Povetkin, if Michael Hunter knows that you're going to be front foot heavy, right, he's going to move around the ring and he's going to look a lot less clumsy doing so, by the way, than Charles Martin did. He's going to move around the ring. He's going to force you to reach for him. Right? That would be an awkward fight. Now, someone mentioned Jermaine Franklin in the comment section on the earlier video. The only problem I have with that fight is Jermaine Franklin likes to be on his front foot. Right? And so Jermaine Franklin, who doesn't have the punch, that Big Baby has. Jermaine Franklin would be right there in Baby's comfort zone. If you're the one raising a Big Baby, right? If you're his team, right? His manager, his trainer, if you're his team, you want Big Baby to be out of his comfort zone. Isn't that how you grow a fighter? Right? We know Big Baby can handle things in the pocket. Right? We saw him against Jerry Forrest. We know he can handle things in the pocket. The question is, gee, what happens when there's movement? Right? Also, what happens when the other guy has legs? So, some of these huge left hands that he got hit with by Charles Martin, what happens if the guy hitting him is someone like Anthony Joshua, who has the athleticism to actually then jump after Big Baby to try to hit him again? Right? That's the problem. You got some athletes. Let's name another guy in the mix. This is how deep the heavyweight division is. One of the best athletes in the division is a guy you've hardly heard of who's the European champion right now. Fabio Wardley. Right now, Wardley hits hard, folks. Right? Hits hard. Understand, Wardley can follow you quickly. He's an athlete. Right? My point to you is, Big Baby, as athletic as he is in a division with Usyk, who is an athlete. Right? He's in a division with Usyk, with Wardley, with Parker. There are other athletes in the division. Now, we saw his defense degrade a bit. Right? He got hit not just up top, but in the body. I was looking at the CompuBox numbers. I would question them on this fight. Right? I would question them on this fight. Understand, too, in terms of punching power, Luis Ortiz, who did not knock down Andy Ruiz, by the way, right? He's the one getting knocked down. Luis Ortiz hurt Charles Martin more than Big Baby did. Right? Martin doesn't know where he is in the Ortiz fight. Right? So given the reality that Big Baby's not the only hard-hitting athlete at heavyweight, that Big Baby has some defensive lapses and is a bit predictably front foot heavy. Right? My point is simply, hey, I don't believe he's ready for a heavyweight title shot right now. I'm surprised the Joshua people who are looking for a dance partner for August aren't on the phone trying to convince Jay Prince to risk his fighter's unbeaten status. Right? Because, quite frankly, the Joshua people have to look at this Charles Martin film and must be saying to themselves, we can do better than Charles Martin, who just went 10 rounds with Big Baby. Anyway, those are my thoughts after reading the comments to the comment section. Big Baby's promising, make no mistake. Right? But it's going to take time. I wouldn't put Big Baby in the ring right now with Joshua, and a lot of the boxing world is asking the question of whether Joshua's lost his fastball. Right? Even in these uncertain times for Joshua, I think he'd be too much for Big Baby. As Big Baby learns the sport, right? Boxing looks like it's a bunch of bar fights. It's a craft. Right? The defensively blessed guys have thought things out. They have a plan A that involves, knowing how to not just roll with punches, but block punches. Right? Not just roll with punches, but use the fact that the guy's throwing the punch to make the guy pay with a skillful counter that they can throw without getting hit. From what I've seen, Big Baby's just learning that part of the game. I'm not sure if Mike Tyson understood the nuances of boxing when he won the heavyweight title, right? That's what speed, quickness, unorthodoxness, an upper body you couldn't find uh, does, right? You can win the title before you fully understand the sport. Joshua won the title as he was figuring out how to throw a jab and stuff like that, right? If Big Baby wants the title and wants to have a reign, he's going to have to figure out some things. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments, further comments, in the comment section of this YouTube video. Big Baby against Makhmudov. I would expect Makhmudov to be the underdog. For me, that would be a broad daylight casino robbery, right? I would take the better than even money odds, and I would think to myself, wow, do folks really think Baby is better deep in the pocket than this guy, right? I would think I got the more experienced, better fighter for the fight styles they're going to have. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours. I look forward to your comments as always. Thanks for stopping by.